Welcome to Jewish Boy Calls His Mother. I'm your host, Sadia, and this is my mother, Ima. Hey, Ima.
Hello, and you can see I'm at a bas mitzvah at the Chabad house here in Parkland, and I have my shade on.
Wonderful.
So
You
I
look
look
fantastic.
somewhat decent. I think it's still, I still, my face doesn't do a good angle. Maybe this way, that way.
That's good. That's good. You look like you're 25. So one of the things you wanted to talk about was I guess being a miss, I guess that is somewhat mistaken identity with you.
Um, well, basically, it's a combination of mistaken identity and very dishonestly taking credit for something I did not do.
Okay.
And what happened was, for my first year out of college, I got a job teaching in Baltimore City. And that year, it must have been because I was there, Baltimore City teachers went on strike. They were on strike for 6 weeks. So anyway, I was living with my parents, so it's not like I had to pay any rent. And so, and it was during the time of the gas lines
Yeah.
that all of a sudden there was a shortage of gas, and in fact, there were some people who parked their cars in the middle of the night in front of the gas stations so they could be first in the morning, and then would get up like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and run over there and sit in their cars.
Oh,
So as soon as
wow.
the gas station opened, they could be first to fill up their tanks. That's how bad it was. It was really bad. I mean, these gas lines went for like blocks and blocks. So anyway, so I didn't have to sit in the gas line. I wasn't going to work. So I just slept late. I just relaxed. Basically didn't worry about anything. Well, finally, the strike was settled. The contracts were signed. And when I came back to school, all these teachers ran over to me and said, "Oh, that was such a fantastic speech you gave at the rally. You were terrific." And instead of me telling them the truth, and I really didn't care, and I was just lazing around, I just smiled and said, "Oh, thank you. Thank you." I found out later there was some teacher in Baltimore City at that time who looked and spoke just like me, was like a double.
Oh, what year was this
And she
again?
gave this big speech at the rally.
What year was this? 1974, 1975?
73.
73. Okay.
73, 73, 74, actually 73, 74, around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious to see if we can probably find that on record, of someone giving a speech, see if they look like you.
Find who wasn't spoke.
Yeah. Um, but my other question is more like a more of a statement, but a mother nurturing their child will eventually have to stop nurturing their child in order for them to grow. How has that concept affected you or people around you?
Well, there's a difference between nurturing and smothering. Nurturing is when you help your child actually become independent. Like if your child, say, wants to explore a certain area of study for possibly seeing if that would be a vocation that they're basically have talent for, to a nurturing parent will encourage that child or help that child to get the information, maybe get the materials together, and let that child, you know, explore that particular area. Where smothering would be, and by the way, in my day, I did see a lot of smothering. I don't see it so much in your generation of parents, thank God. I think your generation of parents are more independently minded and respect their children's independence a lot more. But I had friends who wanted to go into certain areas of study, and their parents said, "No, you're not going there. There's no future in that. You are doing this instead." And one friend in particular was really sad. This was a brilliant young man who was so brilliant he got a scholarship to MIT. He was also a concert pianist, very talented young man. And when he was in high school, he did not want to take, he wanted to take French, and he wanted to go into the humanities like writing, philosophy, that type of thing. His parents said, "No, you've got a brilliant scientific mind. You're going to go into science and technology." And in those days, anyone going into science and technology usually took German, because most of your scientific writings at that time were from Germany. So they forced him to take German, and they would not sign permission papers for him to take French. These papers had to be signed by your parents to permit you to go on to particular types of study. When he went to MIT, his parents forced him to go into the science and technology program at MIT, and he rebelled and he said no. He dropped out of the science program. Instead, he enrolled in the humanities program, which upset his parents very much. And then when he was in the second year, the story was, I'm not so sure if this is true, but the story that came to me was that he dropped acid. And then afterwards, he dropped out of college and got involved, even though he was Jewish, very sadly, he got involved in a Christian cult.
Mm.
And actually, I wrote his name into the Rebbe many years ago. And I wish him, I hope he's okay. I hope maybe he got out of this cult. I don't know what to say, but like I said, I sent his name into the Rebbe, and the Rebbe gave him a bracha. So
Okay.
I hope I haven't heard from him in many years. So I hope he's out of that. And I had another friend. My parents had these friends who used to come and visit quite frequently, and they had a daughter that was my age, and she and I weren't real close friends. We were friends, we were friendly. We weren't any, we were friendly, and we said hi to each other all the time. We spoke a little bit in school with each other. She was in my class in school, and then later on she was in my class in college. And they bragged to my parents that, from the cradle, that they have raised their daughter, that she is going to go to Towson State, and she is going to go into English, and she is going to become a teacher. And there was this boy that, she dated in high school that her parents were head over heels in love with. And they, I don't know how much they got involved in this, but as soon as she graduated college, she and this boy got married. And yes, she got a teaching job. And yes, she became an English teacher. And the year after she graduated and married this young man and got her teaching job, she divorced him, quit her teaching job, and got a job with an advertising agency. So,
Jeez Louise.
Her parents were kind of devastated, but hey, there went that.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, that's why I think you raising us, you never gave us a very rigid sense of direction. You gave a broad stroke of direction of like various values and whatnot, but it wasn't anything specific where it's like, you are going to grow up, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be a doctor, you have to be this, that, and the other. Which kind of leads me to my next question would be, what would separate you from everyone else in regards to teaching and being a mother?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Teaching and being a mother. Everybody else.
Your aloofness brings a lot of character to.
Like that. I think people said that as a mother that I was very dedicated. I mean, I could have thrown all you kids into daycare and just went ahead and got a full-time teaching job, who knows, in Baltimore City, Baltimore County, whatever. And I did not do that. I just felt that I wanted to be the one to raise my kids. I'm not leaving the raising of my kids to a babysitter. And especially, I told you that there was one point where everybody was on my case. You're having so many financial problems, just dump this whole thing, put the kids in daycare, and you just go ahead and get a full-time job. So I said, okay, let me look into daycare centers. I think we spoke about that on the podcast.
I don't think so, but like I've discussed this with people as well, where it's like, it doesn't add up, spending money to put your kid in daycare if it's just as much as you just staying home with the child. Like, rather they should be raised by your mother and not some random stranger.
I felt the same way too. So what happened was when I was checking out daycares, and as I said to your father, I wouldn't leave a guinea pig by any of them. Daycare number one, I checked into.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. We did this. Yeah, we talked about this.
Different, like 5 different daycares, and they were all.
Yes.
I went into details about how horrible they all were, and after that, I said, you know what? I said, God forbid any of my kids get hurt or injured or worse. I said, no matter how much money I'm making, it's not going to do it. And I saw like friends of mine did that. And you know something? I hate to say, I mean, I can't say that all their kids turned out not so good. I mean, I've seen cases of parents that did this and the kids turned out just fine. But I've also seen cases, it's a gamble. I've seen cases of parents who did this and the kids turned out horribly. So either way, you're going to wind up putting time into your kid. You can either put time into them in a positive way when they're younger and be there for them, or when they get into trouble, then you're going to have to put time in.
Yeah. Proactive or reactive, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what would you say is the biggest problem with teaching now, if you've noticed?
I'll tell you the truth, I'm out of the loop. I'm not so familiar with what's going on in the public system other than what I hear on the radio. From what I hear on the radio, it doesn't sound good. But I have a I met a from family who their children are going to a public high school in Baltimore City, and evidently they're this particular public high school is it's like really doing great. I mean, they're very skill oriented and job oriented, and their kids are learning a lot about computer programming and technology. And so I don't know if you would say this high school is the exception of the rule, but I think it's got to be. I've heard pro and con on both sides about what's going on in the public system, and I think it comes down to the school itself.
Yeah. Like the district, basically. And
Yeah.
like if it's in a good district and good people, you're gonna have a good school. If it's a bad district with high crime rate, the education is gonna be really junky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But even with that, the funny thing is, there are some schools in where the majority of the student population is from a depressed area, and even those schools um, ha- will have gifted and talented courses.
Mm.
And I've spoken a number of years ago. I spoke to the daughter of a friend of mine who was in a gifted and talented program in Baltimore City, and evidently these kids that are in the gifted and talented program, the young lady was telling me that the school administration makes sure that these kids are totally separated
Mm.
from the mainstream of the student population. That this girl was a from girl, and things happened where I don't know. I'm not going to go into details about. Unfortunately, the Jewish schools in Baltimore, there was a problem there, and so she wound up attending a regular public high school, but she qualified for the gifted and talented program. And she told me they even come through a separate entrance.
Oh wow.
And the classrooms for the gifted and talented students are in a totally separate part of the building. They do not want these kids in the gifted and talented program to be associated in any way with I hate to say it, the majority of the student population at this particular school.
Mm.
And I was really impressed because they had graduation day turned out to be on Shabbos. It was, traditionally for years and years and years, ever since the inception of the school, it was always on Shabbos. Do you know, because she was an Orthodox Jew, the school changed the graduation day for her to Thursday night,
Wow. That's
just for
awesome.
her. They totally broke with, like decades of tradition, because when they said, oh, when she said that she wasn't going to be able to attend because it was Shabbos, they said, oh no, that you've got to attend. They go, we're going to change it to Thursday just for you,
That's awesome.
which was really, which was really amazing.
Did you ever have a mentor for any of the I guess the education you've gone on, like either Jewish or English or teaching or music, like any mentors specifically that you worked with?
Um, as far as my teaching in Baltimore City was concerned, there was a late the system changed. Originally, when I first came into the system, there was a totally separate music department. And there was a woman who was in charge of the department, very wonderful woman named Alice Spear, and she kept in touch with with the teachers, with the new teachers, and she tried, to guide us in many ways. Then they totally destroyed that program. They got rid of the entire department,
Mm-hmm.
and you had like supervisors that wound up back in the classroom,
Oh
and
wow.
there was no real mentoring. It was really sad. I could have used someone to come into the classroom and try to help me, and I didn't get any of that in Baltimore City. All I got was people coming, higher ups coming in and yelling at me in front of the kids,
Oh gosh.
telling me what I was doing wrong, and that's why I left Baltimore City after 1 year of teaching there. I said this system is crazy. It's going to drive me crazy if I continue with it. Now, as far as me, uh, as far as me being a classroom teacher in New York, no, there was no mentoring. I kind of had to like feel my way around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but when I became a Hebrew teacher, then there was my principal was really excellent. She's deceased. Her name was Goldie Gorn. I'm sure a lot of people remember her. She gave me some really good teaching skills. She really helped me to like zero in on specific skills like um, how to how to engage the children by calling on them, how to break down. She taught me how to teach Chumash.
Mm-hmm.
Um, simple translation sheets, how to go over these translations, how to make them into games, how to, mix up the words, how to, get the kids to read them. She was really very, very excellent. Matter of fact, there was a retirement dinner that we had for her, and you had to sign a book. And in her book, I signed, "Thank you for making a teacher out of me."
Oh, that's so
And she
sweet.
was impressed. I overheard her saying, "Look what she wrote." She wrote, "Thank you for making a teacher out of me." She was so impressed. I wrote that to her.
Did you ever like become a mentor to somebody?
I'm trying to not directly, but kind of indirectly. There have been times where I've met young people who were going into a teaching situation for the first time and were nervous, and so I gave them specific pointers. One young woman in particular, um, I was at a social event, and but your older sister Etty had some friends over.
Mm-hmm.
One of her friends was a young woman who was going to teach sociology 101 on the college, one of the community colleges. She'd never done this before in her life, and
Okay.
she was very nervous, and she was worried about discipline problems, yada yada, all sorts of things. Will the students not listen to me? What do I do if they're talking while I'm talking? You know, what et cetera, et cetera. So I said to her, "Look, I said, first of all, this is college. It's not high school. They don't have to be there. They're there because they want to be. So, you know, and you're not gonna have discipline problems like you would say maybe in like a public high school." I said, "Now, if your students see that you're organized and you know what you're teaching, they're going to respect you. They're going to look up to you for that." And I told her I said. I said to her, "Have you looked over your sociology textbook?" She said, "No." I said, "Here's what you need to do. You need to go home, look over your sociology textbook. And as a professor, you decide what information you want them to be responsible for. Do you want them to be responsible for all the information in the book? Maybe there are certain chapters that you think are superfluous that they don't have to read. Then you make a syllabus. You make up an entire program, a syllabus of what chapters they're responsible for and the main concepts they're responsible for, plus the test schedule. You print that out, you pass that out the first day of class, and it's going to be smooth sailing from there."
Mm.
And she thanked me very, very much. She felt a lot better after talking to me
That's awesome.
and
D-
getting this direction.
um, a different question though. Um, did you ever have to make a difficult decision or sacrifice, I guess, in your life that you still think of?
That's my whole life. How's
Yeah, elaborate, please. That's why I'm asking you this question because
that?
I know you have an
That's what I
answer.
said. Do I develop my career? Do I develop my children? And I decided that developing my children was better than developing my career.
I mean, you have some really
I
great children.
sacrificed my body for what do you mean?
Yeah.
I
So I
used
get
to I used to be 5'2" and 110 pounds. I'm not going to say what I look like now.
you're 5'4" now, right? It gets stretched out more ways than
Five.
one.
That's the question: is 5 foot in height or in width?
uh yeah, it's just it's that question's always very like loaded because it's like I know you've sacrificed so much, you've done so much in your
The
lifetime.
Jewish mother guilt. Yes, I mean,
No,
what I did for you.
here's the thing: guilt only works to a zenith point, and then it just stops, and then it just like it's just it does a quick. It's like a yield point where it's like like a piece of steel where it can only handle so much weight, till
Uh
eventually it just breaks and it doesn't care anymore. So like guilt
huh.
only works like so much until you're just like,
Uh huh.
no, I don't care anymore.
That's true. That's true.
But
What is it about we Jews and guilt? I mean,
uh,
I think it's like there's that concept about the Jewish guilt. It's like we own it or something. I
it's
don't
a
know what it
different.
is.
I guess it's the feeling of it and the way we act about it is very intense for people. It's very
Uh huh.
intense and very emotional and very gut wrenching. You know, it's like I don't know how to say it, but just the feeling of it, it just for other people it feels really intense and you feel really bogged down. Um, I guess for Jews, it doesn't it's just part of life, so it's not that big of a deal.
Uh huh.
But it doesn't affect you as much as you'd think it would. Uh, but how do you think your actions and choices impacted the world and future generations?
Generations. Um, I don't care about future generations. I care about all I care is my kids, my grandchildren, and maybe I don't know. I hope I live to see my great grandchildren. Past that, I don't think. Past that, I don't think it matters. It's
Yeah,
let's put this way. I think thank God the way that I think the way I feel I feel very fulfilled about the way I think that I raised you kids. I think it was I think you guys all had a good upbringing. I hope did
yeah,
you have a good
I
upbringing?
think so. I think so. I mean, like the biggest thing I'm very much against is victimization. I was even watching this one uh psychoanalyst talking about an experiment he did with women where they had this group of women and they were telling them they're planning them to go into a job interview, but what they're going to do is they're going to put up make give them a fake scar around their lips.
Mm-hmm.
So they gave them a fake scar, they showed it to them, and the woman saw the scar, but then right before they went off to do the interview, the makeup artist would be said like, oh, I need to fix it up a little bit, I need to touch it up just a little bit, and when they say they touched it up, they actually removed it.
Uh
And
huh.
then these women would go into these interviews thinking they
Uh
have a
huh.
scar on their face, and they start obsessing with whatever the interviewer said to them and thinking, oh, because I have a scar, this, because and they start coming up with all this grocery list of horrible things they think that that this interviewer is doing to them because of their scar,
Oh
and
my
it's just showing
gosh.
like how much you victimize yourself, how much you know obsess over how poor me, poor this, poor that. It
Oh
just
my
destroys
gosh.
your life, and it's just like
That
it,
was yeah. That's some experiment.
yeah, yeah. So it's just like that's why it's just so important not to victimize yourself. So, in me personally, I loved my childhood. I had my ups and downs just like anybody else. I don't think I had anything terrible. You know, I would complain when I was younger, but like kind of dealing with other people who had horrible lives, real horrible childhoods. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I actually had a good childhood. I just complained because my dad was a little rough around the edges, you know, like who cares? Like it wasn't that big of a deal, you know? And I think that's really what it is, where it's like you got to stop that. Um, is there an airplane nearby?
Yes, floods of airplanes flying over my head.
Ooh,
Yeah.
did you hear about that Chinese balloon in
No.
Montana?
No. What?
There was a Chinese balloon in Montana that was obtaining like information, and it got shot down by the U.S. government.
Good.
Yes, yes.
Oh my god. A Chinese balloon.
It's Chinese.
Did it come with fortune cookies?
That's San Francisco, actually. And wow, that is like horribly racist, but sure. You know what? That's fine. Let's keep it in there. Let's use this as a thing and see if we can get canceled. Oh my gosh. Jeez Louise.
Is it a Chinese balloon?
Yes, yes, I understand you, but in today's
Oh
society, we
my
don't
God.
say that
Do you
anymore.
know something? I was thinking today something, you know, that like there's a big movement in general in a lot of places in our society. I'm not going to go into specifics. You can,
Yeah,
draw your own conclusions that seem to be anti reproduction
yeah,
and quite honestly, insanely anti-reproduction, anti-family, anti-reproduction. Yeah, it's almost if you're anti-family, you're also like pretty much anti-reproduction too. And something occurred to me. The Chinese have been, how can I say it, masters at
yeah.
population control. And I'm wondering if a lot of these movements that are really um, that are really um, anti, in their essence, really anti-population. I wonder how if they're being financed by the Chinese.
No, I don't think so. But the Chinese have had a major population dip. They announced like last week about how it's been such a problem because the like one child per family act, even though it was removed from law, it was ingrained in the Chinese culture for like 50, 60 years. It's
Right.
hard for them to break that. So they have a
Mm-hmm.
huge dip. They're going to have even a worse dip in the next 20 years because they have a huge aging population, just like Japan, where it's like, 40, 60, 70-year olds are the ones that are majority of the population, and the younger population is very small. So like it's just
Mm-hmm.
they're still gonna die off, and then the population's gonna dip. But I think that's just part of life. It's gonna come and go. I mean,
Yeah.
we've reached 8 billion people like just recently, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't really think it's a problem. Um, but I wanted to talk to you about something else. Actually, it happened to
Mm-hmm.
me today.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got scammed today. I was
Mm-hmm.
I was walking down the street, and this guy rolls up in a car. Looks like he's a foreigner. He thought I was Muslim, so he said "Assalamu alaikum," and I said "Alaikum salam." And I started speaking to him a
Mm-hmm.
little bit in Arabic, and then he's like, "I need money for gas. Here's my gold ring. Here's my gold chain. Just if you have cash, just please I need money for gas." And I'm like, I don't have any cash on me that much. Like I have maybe like $5. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Like no one carries cash on them anymore. And I told him that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
please, please, I just need money, I need cash. And I'm like,
But you gave him the
here's
$5.
I gave him $5.
That's
I gave him
okay. You
five
know what?
bucks.
It's
And then like
okay.
and I gave him
Yeah.
let him keep the because I didn't want to wait for him if it was
Yeah.
real. I'm like, here's the
Right.
$5. Freaking take it if you need the money
Mm-hmm.
for it or not. And I just left.
It's
But
okay.
I mean,
Maybe he really needed it. You never know. And my that's like your father and I. That happened to us in New York, where this man was trying to flag people down. They were driving by, and I said to your father, "Stop, see what this guy needs." And he said, evidently, he said he had been mugged, and they took his wallet, they took everything. He says, "I'm trying." I said, "I need money just to get on the subway." So your father gave him $5. And $5 is nothing. I mean, I could understand if it was hundreds of dollars. I mean,
no,
$5 is nothing, and maybe he really
no.
did need it.
Yeah.
It's all right. You never know.
But
You never know.
have you
Oh,
ever
the
got
almost a scam.
yeah.
Um, almost a couple times came very close to it. Um, as a matter of fact, I received this notice in the mail saying that I owed Care First $167, and this was a collection agency, and if I don't send it to this address, they're going to come after me. And I just laughed and threw it in the trash can. Right? Sure, I do. Yeah. And I keep getting these things on the phone that something's wrong with your PayPal account. Please contact us so we can straighten this out, or else we will close your account. There's only one problem. I don't have a PayPal account.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened to me a couple of times where I get these notifications in the mail, and it goes ahead and says like, "Oh, this is anything that says urgent, anything that says like it's an emergency, I know is a scam. I just
Yeah.
know is a scam."
Well, there was
Um,
one time I got a phone call, and it said on the number AT&T, and they I forgot what happened. They said that somebody was trying to buy $1,000 phone on my account. So and they said, "Is this you?" I said, "No, that this is not." So they said, "Well, can you give us your AT&T account number so we can check this out?" So I said, "Sure." And then after I hung up, I thought, "Oh, wait a minute." So I called AT&T. I told them about the call, and they go, "Wait a minute, that's not our number." They said, "We wouldn't be calling you." So they contacted the store. They got online and they said, "Okay, this $1,000 phone was bought online." And they said, "We can stop it right now because you called us right away.
Yeah.
We'll stop it right now." And they did. They put a stop on it.
Oh yeah, I think I remember when that happened. It was like just recent, actually, a couple years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. hmm
Um,
Before
uh,
before I was more technologically astute.
yes. We got like 8.5 minutes left,
Yeah, I want to
but
go back in and have dessert.
okay, so you got like 8.5 minutes. No worries. Um,
Yeah,
what's
they're,
what?
they're serving ice cream.
I
Par-
know
Parva ice cream.
it's delish. You know what's crazy?
Mm.
With your monetary value, you can go into any store and get any kind of par of ice cream, any flavor too. Probably one's better than this one, but this one's free. What's one memory that always makes you smile?
One memory. Reading to you children, putting you to bed. When I put you to bed at night, reading to you.
Aw,
Yes,
that's
that was
adorable.
sitting and reading to you is and also like helping you with your schoolwork, like sitting next to you and helping you with your schoolwork, with your studies, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. Also, when you were a baby, the way you crawled was hysterical, would crack people up. You wouldn't crawl gently across the floor. You would go bang, 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 real fast across the floor like a bug, and it would just crack people up.
Yeah, no, I still do that. I walk very intensely, very like as if I own the place. And it's not like I'm trying to. It's just, I guess my natural way of doing things. So what's one thing you want to learn or try in the next year?
Travel. I
Yeah.
wanna I wanna like travel to some places. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I was looking through some travel things on some of the airlines, and I saw they actually have a flight. I think it's out of Fort Lauderdale, I believe, or West Palm, Havana, Cuba.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You want to
So I
give
was
that a shot?
wondering, like, huh?
Give that a shot. Why not?
I want to find out first. I don't want to have another. But Barcelona was great. It really was. But it took me a while to be able to get kosher food. It was a little culture shock, like the first couple of days there. Um, but I want to make sure I don't, land in Havana and have nothing to eat and no place to go.
Well, I mean, everything's kind of been capitalized because their communism kind of trashed. But is there a Chabad in Cuba?
I don't know. I'm going to look that up. I looked it up and see if there's a Chabad in Havana. So I'll give them a call and see what the situation is there. Maybe if there's a kosher hotel there and
Yeah.
Chabad's running it, yeah, then for sure that'd be great. I would go right there.
I mean, the best thing to do is just go ahead and as a guy, I would do this. I would just get some hard salami, get some crackers, eat fruits and vegetables for like a week, and that's it. And then you're good to go. It's
Uh-huh.
Cuba, so it's not even that far away from Florida. So you're only like me a couple hours away. You go in for like a weekend, or you go in for like a week tops. You eat fruits and vegetables; those are all,
Mhm.
and you're good to go. You live
Yeah,
off of
I
coconut
was.
water.
I know it's like when my trip to Barcelona, things did come together. I mean, I did go around to a few vegetable stores and did manage to get some of these little like teeny little vegetables that all you have to do is just wash them off and you can pop them in your mouth type thing.
Yeah.
So that worked out, and I finally I went to the kosher store and I was able to buy some prepared fish. It's like
Okay.
those fake shrimp. It was fake shrimp. It was really like pike and something that was rolled up to look like shrimp, and that was good for breakfast. And I was able to Baruch Hashem, I was able to get it together for the week that I was there.
Yeah, because like I'm trying to plan a trip in about a year. If everything works out, Blia and Hara, Ruth and I want to go to France for next year. and we want
France.
to, yeah, we want it. We
Nice.
want to probably do it for Pesach,
Uh-huh.
most likely, because that's the only time I can really like have off.
Uh-huh.
So we could just do it then. And we're trying to, what I'm noticing now is that like I'm on these Facebook groups, I'm on these Instagram posts, I'm following these people on Instagram, and like I'm right now just obtaining information slowly on what to do and how to do it. But because places that are like that are very strongly populated for like a destination to visit, a lot of stuff is sorted out. A lot of stuff is sorted out. Like I could probably get a hold of a Jewish tour group for the whole week and then pay a flat fee and be done with it. You know,
Oh, sure.
like if I really
Especially
wanted to.
France. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So like
It's
that's what I'm saying. So with Cuba, there's probably some random tours you could just pay a flat fee and go with,
yeah.
and
That's
there
what I like to
might
do.
be see if there's any kosher tours available or
Mm-hmm.
maybe vegan tours available and whatnot. Um, and see what you can do, because I know like you can't like always depend on vegan because they don't really look for bugs and they don't really they're
Mm-hmm.
not as thorough as someone who's keeping kosher. But like
Right.
if they have like hard fruit or dried fruit or like also that's the other thing, you could just get a buttload of this is such a guy thing, but like you bring like a loaf of bread, like beef jerky, some hard
Mm.
salami,
Mm.
some like, and then you could just go buy fruits and vegetables that are there, you
Mm-hmm.
know, take some multivitamins with you, and everything else is good to go. Unless can you drink the water there? Do you have to buy a bottled water there? Like what's like
Ooh,
what
I have no idea. I
that's
haven't researched. I have no idea, but that's something to think about.
yeah, like go ahead, just Google online, like what
Mm-hmm.
should I be aware of when traveling to Cuba? I've
Mm-hmm.
been on this thing called Chat GBT that
Uh-huh.
like I've been telling everybody about, where you just ask them any questions, and ask them like different stuff that needs to do, like you really need to know, and it spits it back to you like a human. So that's
What's
so
it
like
called?
Chat
That
GBT.
GBT.
I
Okay.
told you, I told
I
everybody
think you
about
told me
this.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was the one that did a whole thing, a whole synopsis on our podcast. It broke down our entire podcast in like a paragraph. It was very sweet. Did you read it?
I no, I think I did. Yeah. Yeah, I read it.
You read
Oh
it?
yeah, I
What you
read it. Yeah, remember
what?
I didn't you see my message?
Oh, you're right. You did.
Yeah,
You
I
did.
messaged
You
it back
did.
to you. I sent
Yes.
you a message telling you thank you for sending that. That was really nice to read. It was really nice. It's really nice to hear that we're getting such good feedback.
Yeah, we're doing great. I think.
And
I mean,
talking about sacrifices, I think I might miss the ice cream.
a minute 50, and you're good to go. You can get your ice cream.
I love you.
I love you,
Have a
Ema.
great Shabbos.
You too, Ema. Be
Mm,
good. Get your ice
bye
cream.
bye.
Bye bye.